So when you load in, you're going to see a very familiar map. You're going to see some familiar names. It is a Tag Craftius Maximus, a very well-known map. And for the combatants today, we can see up here in the blue corner, it is Castaway. He is Cybern, and his opponent in the red corner is Demon Streamer 666, and he is going Aeon. So these builds, let's have a look what we're doing. Factory first. Commander is then wandering down, getting 1, 2, 3, 4 mixes, grabbing a little bit of tree reclaim, and you're going to see the first engineer come out and go straight for the hydro. Over here we should see a similar thing. There we have it. Commander is walking up, grabbing the mass extractors, and the first engineer is going to come out straight over this way and start building the hydro. So this is the standard opening build. You have enough mass and energy in your coffers to do that. He's using the engineer to grab some of these tree clumps. That's just going to help his initial eco. Each of these is worth 100 energy, if I remember correctly, as a clump. So otherwise, if you walk through them and knock a tree over, they turn into individual trees and they get less. So this engineer has turned up and is going to start on the hydro, and the commander is doing exactly the same thing. So you can see, with only a minimal amount of reclaim, there is enough. I'd say minimal because he's actually done a few extras, but there is enough to grab the hydro as well without stalling. So this is the kind of build you want to do if you have hydro nearby. Factory, 4 mechs, and then hydro with your engineers. You can see he's got plenty in reserve, and it is the same for Demon. He's already finished his hydro, in fact, and is working on his extra factories. So, and Craftius. Well, ignore Navy at your peril. Sometimes you can get away with it, but if you have absolutely no Navy and your opponent jumps into the Navy game and gets some tier 2 rocking around, these mass extractors and the hydro right here are very exposed. The water is quite high, so even frigates can actually get in and damage all of this. So you can't really consider these two mixes especially to be safe. They can be destroyed very easily by frigates. So Navy is important on this map unless you can get such a massive, overwhelming advantage on the land. Having said that, I do have a memory of a game where one person went everything land and the other person went everything Navy. They had the commander out, they had naval factories on the outside, they had these mixes around the edges, they had the underwater mixes, and it was actually seemed like a fairly even game. I just have a vague memory of it. I can't remember who the players were involved, but it was quite amusing to see. It's the complete different game styles. In the end, it was the land player who won out though, because they were able to move into making air as well, and once the air and torpedo bombers started getting going, they were able to take care of the Navy. So yeah, Navy's important, but maybe not quite as important as having everything. Alright, a T1 bomber is out from Castaway. Not in use yet, perhaps it is just going to be held for raiding units like these ones. Can take care of them, although they are about to run into a mole and a mantis. So the flare is going to kill off the mole, no dramas. Nice and easy, boom, one shot. But the mantis is going to have other ideas about any further aspirations it might have. They bump into each other. The mantis says no. Spirit. No raid on them, and that was possibly well timed because the flare might have been able to get up this way and kill off this engineer before it could get out into the water and build the underwater mixes. See the same thing going on over here. This engineer has built these. I do wonder if there's maybe a path it can take. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you have to go around. This NG I think has actually come all the way around here just to build those two T2 mixes, and that T1 bomb is now being used. There was an engineer spotted, or maybe it was just going for the reclaim. Perhaps just going for the reclaim because it is now moving towards. There's a nice little clump of units here. 3 engineers in a group, might be able to pick them up if they don't scatter. So in the end it only kills off 1 engineer. Now there's some anti-air on the ground, and it's going to have a horrible time if it loiters. Does not. gets away with 32 health, and we can see it is making a beeline for this poor fella. This guy is not going to survive the bombs that are coming his way. They don't drop, and now we can finish the mix. Carry on. We did see a Navy factory starting up. There we go. So Naval on the way for Demon Streamer. The T1 bomber is... oh, it's turned around. Going for there, we see Navy started up here for Castaway. A little bit behind, but definitely jumping into the water as well. A single Mantis is moved on up. The one that got those kills earlier can now stop here in range and just gradually knock the health off this mass extractor. And there's not much on the ground to slow it down. They actually sit there for a long time and will kill off this mass extractor, maybe get off the second. T1 bomber is going in for what? Maybe some more NG spam. Can it kill it off? How many is going to get there? 1, 2, 2, and 2 heavily damaged. Engineers there. It can swing on round because the AA has been moved out of the base. It's up this way. And we're going to see another couple of engineers die. Maybe a third one if it decides to loiter in the wrong place. Yes, indeedy. There we go. 7 kills for that bomber. Yeah, it's very well done indeed. But that is going to be the end of it there. Small raiding party up here from Demon. Just want to take out some mixes if you can. Some rules just being all kitey and shooty. And we should see this mass extractor go down. There we go. And these guys are free to carry on up. Looking over here though. Navy you say? Navy no way. These Auroras have turned up and they're killing off the build power to prevent this naval factory construction. And they are actually going to succeed. They can get around the factory and kill the engineers. 1 down and 2 down. So that is a Navy deny, although it looks like it did finish. As the icon, it is fully set up. So the naval factory has completed. It could start producing, but 4 Auroras will kill that off. It gets much done. So good work by Demon to get the Navy deny. Has his own factory up, and we see a submarine off already. He's going to need that to kill off things like these mass extractors. Only thing that's going to do it. And we see here a beautiful effort. A spirit to kill a mass extractor. Does not have the DPS to out damage the native regeneration that the hybrid structures have. Down here we see Castaway has moved his comm all the way up here. I don't know if he's just wanting to grab reclaim or grab these mixes. But that is going to be a solid bit of control there. He now owns this particular piece of property. Up here there was, I'm guessing this was a ranged build attempt by Demon Streamer. Perhaps he had his commander stand there and slap a factory up. But it's not going to last too much longer as the Mantis did come sliding up here. Nice long walkway for them to wander on up and take care of anything that might come out of that factory. Submarine has stopped. It wants to come back a little bit actually. It never quite finished off this max extractor, and now its torpedoes are actually hitting the ground. So there we go. There's our catchphrase for tonight. Fuck the ground. And this submarine in particular is desperately trying to destroy this underwater cliff. It's gonna take forever. It needs to move back to finish things off. There's a single Aurora out on the water. Well, there were 2. Now there's none. Never mind, the Medusas have taken care of that. And over here though, it is Demon Streamer's commander. He'll be fine. There's not enough on the ground to threaten him at this point. He does have a sporting factory back there. Doesn't have a lot of units though. His units are currently down here in the middle, having to go on here. We see Castaway with his commander very far forward. That could be ill-advised. See how that works out from going from there. And you have a look at what these Auroras back here have done. And they have taken out 1, 2, 3 mixes. They've taken out the Hydro, taken out this factory here. A T1 PD was slapped down, but they're not in range of that. And they are finishing off all sorts over here. More power going, more power gone. There's now a couple of defending Medusa have tucked on over, but they have gotten a lot of work done. And those were just Auroras. Frigates can do just as much, if not more. But yeah, that was a naval factory deny. 1, 2, 3 mass extractors, Hydro, and 5 pigeons. That does not help your cause. Up here though, we see Castaway's comm has done a lot of work. Killed a bunch of units, but now he is on the run, which he kind of needs to be because Aurora's outrange commanders, and he cannot just sit there and take this. He's got some supporting units of his own coming in, and that's a lot of damage. Look at those Auroras go. He's going to have to be a wee bit careful they kite him. He's going to have issues trying to keep up because they move faster. And of course, more distance, more damage, more range, but he is rushing in with Mantis as well. He's half dead though, wants to be a wee bit cautious with that comm. Was some T1 PD over here, but Demon Streamers demonstrated the use of T1 artillery as a perfect counter to T1 PD. It is gone. Yeah, that's a bunch of Aurors dead over there, and there's a bunch of reclaim to be had. Castaway still pushing forward with his comm a wee bit. I really would not have the balls to do that. Against Auroras? No. Things that can out-kite you? No. Don't want to do that. Some defending Mantis do come in, but they aren't going to last long against this absolute horde of Auroras. Look at them go. There were some Medusas in there as well, but they are gone, and this is a problem for Castaway. He needs to run and run a lot. These units can chase him down, and he's going to have a bad time should they keep tinkling him like that. As long as he can remain in the radar range, that's the only thing Demon Streamer needs. Him to stay in radar range, which he will for a while thanks to this T1 radar down there. These guys can get a lot of work done. Down he goes, 3,500 hit points. Going to drop under 3 in a moment. But some defending, well, not defending really, some supporting Mantis do turn up just in the nick of time. Still had a few thousand hit points left, so it might have taken a wee bit longer to kill, but these guys have helped things out, and that might be why he's had lesser units. He has made the shift to D2, and those are Rhinos. So the bit of overwhelm there came to the Rhinos. There's a bunch of Mantis up here have killed off these mass extractors. Sucks to be them. Frigate over here is trying to kill, get much done, can't fire over the edge there, and it's like the submarine gave up trying to kill off these mass extractors and has decided instead to wander over this way and kill those ones. Still no navy. I take that back. There's been a navy factory built up over the back here by Castaway, and if you notice there's an underwater hydro he's grabbed as well. So that's a popular secondary navy spot, mostly because of the hydro, and it's just a wee bit out of the way and not always scouted or checked on. Although having said that, Demon Streamer has had a scout over there at some point. He knows the factory is there, but he's not going for it. I think that might be a wee bit of a mistake. We'll see how it goes. But frigates once again round the back of Castaway's base, knocking out the mass extractors there. And it's looking pretty good for Demon at this stage. Aside from the tech. The tier 2 on the field, we're seeing some Cerberus turrets come off. They're going to be very handy for taking out the paper-thin Auroras. Yeah. Lowest amount of hit points, and Cerberus turrets are pretty good at dealing with Auroras just because of the range and high rate of fire. Go down this way though, and look at the Fervors lobbing their shells up onto the ridge. Engineer dies, mass extractor is going to die, and they'll be clearing of this there. More Fervors down this way, taking out the T1 PD, and we can see some engineers are about, and they're not having a good time. Thank you very much, Killer. I like my voice too. I think it's very nice and soothing. But this is a trick that Demon Streamer is missing. I think he needs to, personally, I think he needs to get up there and deal with it. He's still building T1 out of this factory, but he has a huge amount of land control. But now he's starting to run into the tech disadvantage. And we see here Cerberus turrets are doing their thing, and these Auroras are just being turned into scrap almost instantly. So much damage they cannot take because of their weakness. And now we have a stealth gun comm from Castaway, so radar, which is very important for Aeon to see stuff, is now not enough. With the stealth upgrade, Castaway's comm will not be seen unless he gets into visual range like that. Units have to get close enough, which means they're close enough to shoot, they're close enough to get shot, and this might be an ill-advised push. We see there has been not a huge amount of scouting done by Demon Streamer, so he's got no idea he is about to run into a bank of T2 PD, and that's going to be a just absolute loss and a bit of a mass stump on the doorstep of Castaway's base. This submarine is having fun though. Managed to take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mass extractors and an engineer, hence 9 kills, and it's just going to carry on. Some Auroras down here are doing their floaty thing, but they have run into a T1 PD, which has done great old work against them. It's got itself 9 kills. Now, Asira doesn't quite get the last kill, doesn't get a rank of veterancy, and this Aurora needs to be at the right range and angle that its shot is actually arcing over the walls and going to kill that point defense. Right here. Quite a bit closer. That Aurora would have been dead, but as it is, it's the end of the PD. Right up here though, we see those rhinos. They're moving on up, they're having a grand time, but speaking of tech, we see Demon Streamer has an Oblivion turret. That's going to be a good deterrent for those rhinos. Nice bits of damage can be done there. And now, single lone Aurora can tackle off this section here, finish killing the PD, and the mass extractors are next. Okay, we see Navy is slowly building up for Castaway. Something that Demon Streamer could have avoided. He's killing off this NG up here instead, and down it goes. And he's making a shift towards T2 Navy actually. 30% on an upgrade there. No assistance, so it's going to take some time. At the moment, I believe he is more focused on the land side of things, which he does need to worry about because of the T2 advantage that Castaway has. The eco itself is pretty darn close. Not a lot between it, just a few ticks per second, and Castaway slightly ahead. He has way less reclaim though. You have a look at the reclaim stats. Demon Streamer has picked up almost 5,000 more reclaim than Castaway, and that is what has kept him in this game. He's been behind in eco for a while, and now he's trying to face T2 units with T1. Hoplites are a good answer. They have good range, good damage, a bit of an area of effect, and they will do some grand bad things to Auroras who get caught in those volleys. Simply do not want to be there. Another submarine out is going to finish off those 2 mass extractors, and you can kind of see why Navy is important. Just the amount of things around the edges that can be picked up by it. A torpedo bomber comes on out. You can't do much against an Aurora. You're a torpedo bomber and that hovers. Torpedoes cannot hit hover units, in case you're wondering. But up here still the naval factory producers. Just getting some defensive units, I imagine, before going into T2. We'll see how that pans out. And here we go, T1 Bomber Swarm. What are they going for? There's going to be something they're after, but there's flak over here. And that's not going to bode well for these all clumped together. Watch them all die horrible deaths. But they're going for... that was a shield, actually. I think they went for a shield generator. No, a power generator, sorry. It was a power generator. And then they switch up to the mass extractors at the back. There were some interceptors out from Demon Streamer, but they have been distracted by something else. They need to come down here and clean up these before they do much more damage. There we go. So that was actually a good pick to take out the T2 Gen. And now they've finished off. These were only T1 though. Those mass extractors were only T1. And Demon Streamer is possibly a bit distracted by this T2 army on his doorstep because his interceptors are out of position. They need to get back this way and look at killing off the bombers who are trying to kill a solitary lone engineer. And again, the interceptors overshoot. T2 on the ground for Demon Streamer. That's an obsidian, and that is going to take a bit of killing. Although, having said that, it's run onto a huge amount of enemies. Takes a massive beating though before it goes down. Mass amounts of fervors. The shells are on the way. Over here we can see more Auroras trying to skip around the edges, but they have been spotted by the T1 bombers from Castaway. They can get slowly whittled on down and have a bad time of it. The T2 Naval factory is complete, and we are seeing some destroyers plan to come off the rails there. More floating annoyances up this way, some Auroras, and they've run into a band of frigates. So, I mean, Demon Streamer must know. As there, I mean, I know we scouted it. The question is, the planning to do anything to it, or is he just going to let us sit there and fester? Maybe not the best idea. Alright, these Auroras though, they wanted to come into this way, and maybe they can do something against these mass extractors here. They want to, they'll need to do it quick before the service turret is done. They'll need to do it quick before this T1 PD is done. They can maybe kill off this one. In fact, they do kill off that one particular mass extractor, but they won't get much more done. Frigates in the bay, T1 PD, T2 PD about to finish, and they won't go any further. After those raids, what has that done to Castaway's eco? Well, he's lost these two mass extractors up here. He's had to rebuild these ones from the bomber raid, and he's actually dropped well back in the eco race. Nearly twice as much income does Castaway have. Managed to hold and upgrade mixes somewhere, I think. There we go. These two up here are relatively safe from Naval. They're a bit harder to hit. This one's a wee bit further inland, so it's a bit safer. We see an upgrade going on there as well. But he's also upgraded these two up on top of the plateau. So only accessible by bombs or a drop. But then there's a massive fight going on here. A huge number of flavors supported by a couple of obsidians. They can just tank damage all day, every day. They have a massive alpha strike. They've got shield which regenerates. Not a bad choice, and this actually shoots away this section and cleans it up some. It's looking pretty good in that spot, but the opposing corner is very much neutralized by Castaway as well. A couple of rhinos just loitering around. They've been killing anything that comes along, but now comes some fervors. Does Demon Streamer see those? Does he have radar? No, he does not. So he absolutely needs radar somewhere. I would be slapping a T2 radar down attached to this pigeon. He needs to be able to see to take full advantage of his units. You can see here the majority of them can shoot further, especially artillery can shoot further than they can see. And there we go, there's some radar, and it's not a T1 because you can see further, so there must have been a T2 radar slapped up somewhere to assist. There it is, and that's precisely what you need, because now you can see things like these rhinos. They can just be mixed up by the fervors, who will turn them into scrap at range. But in comes some frigates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frigates rushing on this way. That's going to be a problem, because there's nothing in the water to slow them down. Don't have any air to speak of. There is a single destroyer that got out before they turned up, and it's going to be able to get some work done. The question though is how much, because those frigates are going to cause problems. The build power is going to die, and it's going to start work on the Naval HQ. Maybe some reclaim can be done by the commander. Maybe throw out some bombers from, well, he hasn't really got any. Torpedo bombers in as well from Castaway. So he wants to deny the Navy there. He wants to kill off that T2 HQ, and at this rate he is going to succeed. Demon Streamer has nothing here to stop these frigates from completing their mission, which would be the destruction of the HQ, which is a shame. It was that close to rolling out another destroyer. Need to maybe repair command from those engineers to keep it alive that bit longer, but it's not going to happen. And that is actually Demon Streamer. Looked like it might be out of the Navy. Single factory up here from Castaway has done and been worth it, and he's got a huge number of factories lined up here. I suspect this is just a click drag, doesn't really need that many. And we see that destroyer now has problems. Yes, it can bombard things, and yes, it's doing great work against the land eco and torpedoes on there. We see the mass extractor come back and finish it off, and there is a flak arriving for assistance, which that is going to need, because there are Corsairs, there's T1 bombers, and I'm sure there's still a torpedo bomber floating around somewhere. There we go, there's a couple of them. That flak needs to be much closer. But the Exodus class destroyer, now under threat from everything, needs to get its dodge on, but killing off upgrading mixes is good. Still managed to kill a bunch of eco. It is quite handy. The shield is rushing on and want to think about moving that destroyer. Maybe it's too little too late. Indeed, the health is way down, and in come the Corsairs. They pick it off before it can get under the shields, and even should that have been the case, there were torpedo bombers loitering around as well. Unfortunately, did get a bunch done, but maybe not quite enough. Has managed to even up the eco again though, so there will just a few mass ticks in between each other. This is an issue though. Those frigates loitering around the back, they can start taking out some of the mixes on the edges, and the hydro for Demon just causing further problems on that side. And hello, that's T3. Those are loyalists, and loyalists are going to eat up this T1 all day every day. That is a big problem for Demon Streamer. He needs to get T3 as soon as possible. So we're working on T2 there. And looks like he was actually grabbing T2 Air HQ, wanting to throw out some torpedo bombers to take care of those frigates, which are being extra nasty at the back of his base. He's got nothing else. He needs to take care of them. Rick up here, supported by a couple of loyalists, and they are just going to scythe their way through all of this T1. It's just going to get picked up, destroyed, and turned into wreckage, ready for the reclaim. Things have gone from bad to worse from Demon Streamer by the look of it. He's lost his naval factory, which he sunk a lot of eco into. That T2 Navy would have done absolute wonders. Could have gotten more destroyers out, thrown out a cruiser for some air defense, and he could have raided and destroyed a whole lot of eco back this way. Could have denied this Navy here, but as it is now, he's out of the Navy game, and the only person left with boats is actually Castaway. Sticking with the T1 for the moment. No, I take that back. This factory here is upgrading towards T2, and that's going to be a problem. I think this has been the turning point of the game. Demon Streamer is no longer in the Navy game. He is now behind in eco. He's behind in tech as well. Needs to get an upgrade done for T3. There is a band of loyalists over this way, ready to take on anything they can find. There was a brick with some loyalist support up here. That's going to do grand things to these poor T1 units, although if they stay at range, the Fervors can get some work done if they can hit their target. So one of the downsides about Fervors is they are highly accurate, but they have very small AoE, so they don't kill a lot in an area, they kill a lot in a small zone. Right, frigates have turned up to harass this upgrading Navy HQ. They aren't going to last too much longer though. Fervors on the bank and some obsidians loitering around, going to throw some damage their way, and the frigate's deciding maybe it won't stay there and moves along. There's also a torpedo bomber out, although there's now an air wing from Castaway, and he has just taken the air, owning the skies from Demon Streamer. He still has a single skimmer here, has a frigate. That's a bad place to fly. Right into your opponents here, never a great idea. Another skimmer does come through though, and we'll see that frigate die. Will we see this actually complete is the question. We see some frigates off on the side. T2 PD down here, not going to do a huge amount. Rick's going to rush that and have a grand old time. We see, however, Obsidian and Fervor mixes here. If these units sit still, they'll have a bad day. The Fervor's rounds are landing, causing a decent amount of damage on anything that sits still, but all that walks in a straight line, just so much Fervor fire. And the Obsidians there are getting stunned as well by Medusas, or even when loyalists get too close and die, they have an EMP stun zone that kills things off. Twisting and turning are these guys, and that's going to keep them alive, but they are getting pushed on back. More eco destroyed over here. We see Demon Streamer trying to get something done with this comm. Getting some shields over this factory, trying to get it to T2. Needs to be done. Down here though, another push coming in. Loyalists, rhinos, a couple of Medusas, and that's going to make bad things happen. To the point defense down here, some Oblivion turrets down here, got 3 of them trying to hold them off. And up here, this push back from Demon Streamer has been weighed, has been measured, and has been found wanting. The Bricks is still alive, 16 kills on that guy, 35 for this Brick. And it is not looking like a grand old time for Demon at this stage. I think this is it. Like it's a little time ago, but now it is definitely well in the hands of Castaway. He has 5 times the eco of Demon Streamer, and that is true eco as well. He's not stalling power anywhere. Just been raided into oblivion. Mass Extractor's dead back there. Mass Extractor's dead there. Underwater Extractor's gone. These 2 are gone as well. He has some reclaim he can try and grab to get himself back into things, but in all honesty, he's up against tech. Now there's T3 Arty coming out. He has T2 Navy coming in from Castaway. How's the air game? Well, there we go. We've got T2 Air HQ. well in production, plenty of Corsairs coming away. Well, the land is the biggest thing, because he has the land in his face. Looks up here, and it's more or less just doing hit and run tactics. I'm going to do just a little bit of damage and keep things under wraps. There we go, the first cruiser has turned up. And of course, Cyber cruisers don't really have the attack missiles. They have a lot more direct fire weaponry. Quite decent range on it. And it's just going to sit back at range and look at trying to kill what it can. Maybe starting with HQ. And it looks like it, but some of those shells are just horribly missing, so lots of firepower, but very inaccurate. Some of those just simply sliding on overhead. Never remotely close to the target. Look, it turns up, it's going to start killing off the the build power, because hey, why not? There was a destroyer trying to be built, but that is going to struggle with these shells coming on. A couple of torpedo bombers going to kill off this frigate here, but not even rebuilt the mass extractors, so Team's attention is definitely elsewhere, probably wondering what he can do at this stage, and I'm going to say I don't think he can do much at this stage. T3RD has moved into the middle and is now going to rain destruction down upon, well, anything. Radar goes down. That, I think, was his only intel he had left. Oh, he's got another radar somewhere. There we go, that one. That's not going to be long for this world though. We have a cruiser out from the factory, and the cruiser does have some direct fire weaponry, but not enough to deal with that. And frigates. We see a blaze coming over to help, perhaps. That cruiser is dead though. Versing two cruisers and a couple of frigates, and we're going to have a good time. Bricks pushing him once again. 39 kills for this guy, 49 for that one. They have been absolutely working, and now we see Demon Streamer is caught out of position. Perhaps he does have the range upgrade, could maybe overcharge some of these guys, but his eco just simply isn't up to the standards of his opponent, and he throws out the control key. And that is GG to Castaway.